Hey, welcome back again. Here we are in season 2, episode 2 with Musician Talk Show. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, saints, come on in. We have a special guest with us who he's a friend of mine. I've known this guy ever since I moved up here to North California. This is my brother, this is my friend. We hanged out, we played together. It's crazy how we met. We might even mention that a little bit today. So we'll see what happens. I want you guys to stick around till the end. Don't leave. Invite someone. Invite your favorite musician to come and join us in this new season 2, episode 2 with, ladies and gentlemen, Abdiel Lopez. Brother to brother. Looks like we're having some. Let me see. Okay, make sure. Okay, we were having some issues connecting. Welcome in, brother. And I'm gonna invite him right now. So stick around to the end. We have something special for you guys. Okay, let me see if I can add him. Okay. See if he can come in. Just send him the invitation. So hopefully he can. Because I know the area where he lives is a little bit complicated. Okay, there he is. Okay. Okay, let me send you the invite again, bro. Oh, there it is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. All right.
What's up, buddy?
How we doing, man?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Good, man. We're blessed, man, and I'm blessed right now just to have you in this life, And I know that I was kind of worried because I let people know that you kind of live out in the forest, and I was like, hey, if he has problems with his
Actually,
internet,
we got reception or internet back here somewhat recently, so we're grateful for that. When you're in the
Perfect.
country, it's difficult to get it, and my gosh, do we pay a premium for it? So
Definitely, bro. I understand, and I know you told me everything, man. But I was worried, but man, it's a blessing to have you on this live,
hey,
and
thank you for having me, bro. It's a
yeah,
it's a
bro.
it's a pleasure to support you. What you're doing, man.
All glory to God, bro. Yeah, man. This is like our
It's cool.
season 2, and you're pretty much our episode 2, bro. Another guy. Starting something different. We're gonna add some new stuff, but
Cool.
yeah, I want to congratulate you again for those
What's
people
up,
that don't
everybody?
know. What was that?
I was saying, what's up, everybody? Everybody's joined.
They said
Thanks for
Abdiel is the GOAT.
fans. I think he's a little biased.
So for those people that don't know, he's newly married. Congratulations again, bro, for that.
Thank
And
you.
it's I know I want to tell you. Well, this question is very interesting because I know a lot of people who newly get married and are in a worship group or in some way active in church, like yourself. How do you balance your marriage with the worship group or maybe a ministry in church? If you can kind of go through that a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what.
I the I think the best thing that plays into that being not only balanced but also having the support is having the right person next to you, and I think that's kind of the biggest. For my wife, it's a little interesting because she doesn't come from a musical background or being in worship or around musicians, and she wants to learn, and she has an ear for it. She sings. She says she sings horrible, but she doesn't sing horrible, and so I think mainly from the start, she very much so had acknowledged that had been the ministry that God had placed me in, at least for this time, or maybe that's a lifetime ministry. I don't know. And so she was very much so on board. And I will admit, I think since um, you know, in terms of being married, it's been um, I think this is in the last year and a half. I've been a little maybe a little less involved. You know, it's kind of taking a couple steps back. Still, you know, still there, but maybe not as heavily focused, I guess you might be able to say. So, you know, that's a good thing and a bad thing. But
Yeah.
most importantly, I think the answer to that is the right person.
I understand. So like, from my understanding, it's kind of like, so you're newly married, and like kind of like you're like in the process of like, okay, I'm not single anymore, but I'm still in the worship group, or I'm still the leader in the worship group, but I'm married. So it's like, are you maybe like still going through that process? Like, okay, maybe like it's not as much as before, like 100%. Maybe it's 50-50, or it's more towards, you know, your family, like your household, like how God establishes, you know, having first your God, and then your family, then your ministry, kind of in between that.
Yeah, I mean, I won't try to be someone that I'm not on here, because that's not, you know, not what I want to portray. I think anybody who
Yeah.
knows me, I've always been involved in a lot of stuff, and I'm in 100 different places, and so my struggle has always been to say no. And so I think I've done just a little more of that in the last couple of years, you know, with being married. And so, you know, you kind of have this, you know, new responsibility as a husband. You know, that's why I think, you know, I mean, it's very, very straightforward in regards to, I remember what Paul had said. You know, it's like, hey, if you can be single, be single. You know, it's better. You know, you only have
Right.
to serve the Lord. You know, but you know, when you marry, that's your ministry. You know, and your first ministry. So, you know, my wife's well-being. You know, making sure, and thankfully, you know, going back to that same thing again, is the right person makes a massive, massive difference. You know, she makes my life very easy. And those who surround me, you know, can attest to that. And so I'm very, very grateful, you know, for what God brought me in. So it hasn't been an issue. We've never ever had a problem arise in terms of the time in the ministry. And you know, there's never been why can't you spend more time with me? And you know, there's never that conversation has never happened. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it did, bro. And I hope those that are watching can take in some of this experiences, some of this advice from yourself. I want to dive into this next question. Um, okay, this is a very interesting question. I know it's come up a lot, especially in our generation, you know, with Generation C and us millennials and baby boomers. Like, there's a lot of this conversation going on in church. Like, for example, like how do you handle dealing with brothers and sisters, maybe like maybe boomers, our parents, maybe our grandparents, with like, hey, can you sing more, or can you stay more of the old school, like the coritos or the hymns, the hymnarios, and maybe like the newer generation where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, give us some of that Maverick City, like give us more of that you know,
Yeah.
newer stuff, the stuff that's coming up, you know, Bethel, or you know,
Yeah.
etc. That you can think of this new songs. Like how would you deal as a worship leader, you know, having because I'm pretty sure like hermanos or people come, hey brother, you know, sing some of these songs, like some of these hymns, or and then some of the new guys, you know, the newer generation, hey bro, add some of these new songs. Like, how do you deal with that? I
Um,
hope that.
yeah, that makes sense. I I kind of take it on a case by case basis, and in terms of people's um, suggestions. I mean, I'm not one to blow people off. Before I was, you know, leading worship. I grew up in the church where we get to lead worship, Iglesia Nueva Vida, and so it's it's a pleasure to have the support from our congregation, and the fact that that they would like us to, you know, they could say, hey, you know, they could think the opposite. I hope they don't play next Sunday, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, the fact that they would like us to do, hey, can you guys do this? Can you guys do that? You know, but you also, you take into account what the congregation wants, and then you take into account what the band enjoy, because the band also has to enjoy what we do. And so there's been a good mix of that. I mean, if it was up to the church, we'd have like jubilo and coritos, all the time,
Yeah.
for most of the church, but when we took over as the worship team, and this has been, gosh, almost 14 years, I think 14 years, something like that. When we took over as the worship team, it was a very clear decision that we were bringing a new worship to the church, and it's been awesome in terms of the way God moves in worship. But when it comes to song choice, it has been just a case by case basis. Is hey, thank you, brother. Hey, send me the song. I've never heard it, and we'll listen to it. Sometimes we kind of set ourselves a few goals this year with the band, and one of them was to challenge ourselves with songs that, even if we might not be 100% into, to go after them. Like songs like Jubilo, that's not our strong suit in terms of as a worship team. We have a drummer who who's when he was young, he was all into heavy metal rock, and then our lead guitarist, he was like all into punk, and our bassist is into K-pop, and our singer is also into K-pop and all that kind of and so there's a huge mix. So it's I mean it's fun. I mean, but song selection is a challenge, 100%.
Wow. And it's crazy, bro. Like how God just like you brings people. Like it's not what you really like want. It's more like what you need, and He just brings those people. Like you said, like punk. The other one was rock. And it's crazy how it's just like, hey, this is what I'm bringing.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, what's interesting, what's funny enough, and maybe the congregation doesn't know this, and whoever of the congregation's watching might get a kick out of this. But what's funny is most of the songs that that the Holy Spirit moves like crazy are songs that the band didn't want to do.
Wow.
And so I think it's kind of comical. Maybe that's just God. Maybe that's just His humor. In terms of what we like, or what we think will be good versus what He actually wants to do. So it's good surprises, but yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, man, it's funny, bro. So, you kind of touched base in this question, Ron. This is the next one that we have here. Is I know the new year started where a lot of people, we get new goals and things that we want to do. But for yourself, like, you have any goals for yourself and as a group? I know you mentioned the group one, but if you have one for yourself this year, this goal.
Yeah, becoming more more knowledgeable when it actually comes to music. I grew up self-taught, and so when it comes to music theory, when it comes to I mean, I don't think I'm gonna set myself to learn sheet music, but when it comes to just understanding and grasping music, and then also becoming a little more versatile in terms of my playing, that is for sure my goal. And we actually, it's kind of funny, it's been a train wreck in terms of starting. We set some challenges for the group, some homework.
Right, you mentioned that, yeah.
Of, hey, this week, try something that you've never learned before, and then next week so I might be putting everybody on the spot here, but I was like, next week we're gonna try this out, and we want you to show the band what you learned. And so we've been unsuccessful at that so far, but hopefully we can turn that around.
That's great, bro. Like that you're setting goals like as yourself and then for your group. Like, hey,
Yeah.
like let's work on this, or hey, let's try to do this new year.
Which is something newer because we have been. I mean, I say this a lot, but we are together just because of the grace of God. I mean, it's in terms of the amount of planning or the amount of effort or the amount of, I guess that'd be the way to summarize it. The amount of planning and organizing does not equal to the way God has used us and the way God has blessed the ministry of our worship team. Do we put in effort? Yes. I think, I thank the band all the time. We've been together all this time, and literally no one has ever flaked on us. Like, there's never been a Sunday where, we just get a text last minute, oh, I can't make it. Yeah, I mean, and I know for anyone who's listening, I think, especially if you're a part of a band or if you're part of a worship team at a church, that's like unheard of, for more than a decade for the same group of, and maybe more common in older congregations, people that have been there for, 25 years, hey, that's our bassist. He's been doing it since 1980, whatever. But when it's all these, I mean, most of these guys and girls, they started, they were in their teens, like 15, 16, we were very young. And so, regardless of their craziness in their life, they've always been so faithful. So, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for them and so grateful to God for them for that faithfulness. And, do we lack in other areas? 100%. I mean, when it comes to, either it's kind of like we mentioned earlier, doing that homework or, being more involved in other areas of the church, but they've played a very faithful role to the worship team. So I hold nothing against them.
Yeah, bro. And you're right, man. Like how you said, like it's very interesting. Like the next question, like it's all leading up.
Cool.
Like I'm not even mentioning it. You're kind of already mentioning it in the conversation, but
You can stop. You can say, "Hey, man, you take my questions."
but like it's interesting how you said, like for me, like there's like that group, there's not like that perfect group, we're always like working, hey, what can we do to get better, like for God, obviously doing it for him and for God's people, and then it's always like, hey, but like, at least that we have, I think it's good that we have that, hey guys, like what's next, hey, this year, what new goals, hey, what can we do. And I think
Also,
that,
we're trying to finishing up an album, so that's been the last
no
few years.
way, I have
So
that
it's
in my
like,
questions, bro.
here, I'll stay silent. Well, you said goals. That's one of the goals.
Yeah, that's one of the goals. But now that you mention it, I know that it's been a talk amongst us. I mean, when I talked to you,
Yeah.
you said you've been working on a new album, and we're excited. I have your YouTube page here, so a lot of you guys, I'm gonna leave it all information. Go follow this guy. Go follow my brother, amazing worshiper, and amazing musician. I have his YouTube right here, and so, bro, you having
YouTube's old, man.
yeah,
haven't done,
no,
haven't done
it's gonna
anything.
it's gonna have some new stuff coming up. So like you
Yes, it will.
said, you have a new album coming out. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's had its challenges. We started about 3 years ago, and we unfortunately had a situation with I won't say names, but will unfortunately had a situation with a local recording studio to where we just couldn't get in, in terms of scheduling and their times, and then for about a year and a half, it was just trying to get a hold of them, message, email, text, call, and we couldn't never heard back. And so we eventually finally made contact here, towards the mid last year. And yeah, long story short, we cut ties with them. It kind of was a bummer. And so we started over, which I think is a really good thing, with another local friend actually who started working with his partner at a local studio. And it's been really cool. The next portion of it, he's actually waiting on a response of mine, our bass player, to get in there and do his parts. But we tracked pretty much all the songs that we have for the album, and then we just have a few people left to go in and finish their pieces. And I'm hoping by mid-year, I mean, it would be my goal to have something finished up to present. And also, I feel, we feel terrible because the church was such a big support to get this whole thing started, and it's just kind of been such a prolonged thing. So for everyone who supported us, thank you, and thank you so much for being patient. We promised we didn't just take the money and run. It's there. So we're trying to finish this project up. But anyway, thank you.
Amen, bro. Yeah, I know. I've been waiting for a bit. I've been asking you, hey, man, this new album, and I know a lot of people have. So we're looking forward to it. And
Yeah.
and once that album comes out, we'll invite you back into the show.
Cool.
And bring it out.
Cool. And it's all original. So that's what it's. We're not doing any covers.
Wow. That's interesting right there, bro.
We're grateful for it.
And you guys still stay till the end. We have something special for you guys.
Oh, nice.
I'm not gonna ruin the surprise, but okay.
A
This
new
next
car.
question, huh?
I was like, a new car.
Yeah,
The price
yeah.
is right, man. The price is
And
wrong.
hey, and
Sorry,
hey,
sorry.
Ryan. No, it's all good. It's all good, bro. Hey, if you want to add something else or you want to stay more into the conversation, just let me know, man.
Oh, sure.
This is what it's all about, man. We're
Yeah.
learning and experiences, your musical journey. This is what this show is for, this life.
Heck yeah.
Um,
Keep asking. We'll get into some more stuff.
yeah, yeah. I won't hold you for too long either.
I can
um,
hear all night.
the, the next one is you kind of touched a little bit about it. This one is happens to a lot of people, and I know a lot of musicians that this has happened to. Especially now with the whole pandemic, I think a lot. I've noticed that a lot of fellow musicians that I know has this situation has happened, and I want to know like your take to it. And a lot of musicians want to know your take to it. I know you that your MD or the main pianist of your church, he moved out of state,
Hmm.
and like what's your process or how do you deal with like when an important piece or of the group leaves, like as far as a musician or maybe a lead singer, or maybe in this case like your MD or the main pianist, like what's your process or how do you deal with like when this situation happens, like maybe they moved out or maybe they left
Yeah.
church, this type of situation. What's your take on that?
Yeah. I mean, I'd be a liar to say if I had a process in place because we don't. But it hadn't happened to us, and so that was kind of. So we let me back up here. I'll say the same thing that I said to our bass player. So we lost a bass player for there for a while, and he was the one who had been with us from the beginning. And we actually through that period there was a time where we just didn't have one. Did we have somebody that could play at the time? Yes. But one thing that the question that was asked is, we don't need more musicians. What we need is more worshipers. And so a gap is only a gap in a musician's mind, because you have this idea of what it should sound like or what should be there, and when it's not, it's very difficult to focus on your worship. It can make it challenge. Like if you're so focused on the technicality of, hey, this keys are missing or the bass is missing or that vocal harmony is missing, or if you're focused on that, you just won't be okay in worship. And the presence will, I mean, if it moves, it'll move by God's grace, but it'll be a big struggle to overcome it, because the church does respond to you know what you portray. When I've felt nervous and off, I mean, I can definitely feel that the church responds in some way with that. And then there's the people who are always, they're just worshipers. So you could be a crow, just singing, and they'll praise the Lord. I mean, that's there, but it's a lot fewer of those people. There's more of us who want that beautiful sound. So how we deal with people missing, um, at the moment, we've been waiting for the right person to come along. We may not find the most talented person, to come by, but we never sought that from the beginning. We never sought the most talent. We were really seeking people, and talent was second. And so, yeah, it's been a huge, it was a little adjustment period there. There's certain songs and things like that they're not the same. You can't do,
Right.
and so it's really challenging because it's one thing if we would have lost a mediocre musician,
Yeah.
but we lost an amazing worshiper and an amazing musician. Not he was, in regards to understanding music. Oh yeah, I mean it's like losing your right arm. It really is. It does feel that way. And so, yeah, it's been a big adjustment in terms of how we work. But what I saw that never changed was the presence of God. And so when it comes to, the way the Holy Spirit would move, I mean, technically, in the technical aspect, we would miss him,
Right,
but
right.
when the presence of God is there, I mean, you don't care who's not there.
Right. That's
You
true.
know,
That's true. That's so true, bro. And
I heard this once before, and it was I can't remember who said it, but they said, you might, if you look back on your life and the times that you've been in like services or anything like that, you may not remember the songs that were played. You might not remember the preacher or what his message was. You might not remember even who you went with that day or who was there. But if you look back and you remember, what you'll always remember is the presence of God. You'll always remember, man, remember that day when it was just fire. It was just the presence of God just moved. Like, you never forget that. And so I think focusing on that is always most important. And when you acknowledge that you're simply a servant and everybody's been given a gift, and your gift is simply music, well, that's your gift, and so when you give it to God in that way, he moves mightily, individually as musicians. And I'll kind of backtrack here in terms of our history with our band, unless that's one of your questions after this.
oh no. This
No.
was actually no, you're good.
All right. So, you, and I may be, those who are around me, I've turned into that old guy that tells the same stories. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, we know every story you have. So anyway, this isn't for them. But
No, we want to hear it.
when it comes to our band, individually, we got a couple people in there that are very, very musically talented. But the rest of us, including myself, we're pretty average. We can get through some chords and play a song and then, do things like that. And so, but God, we've always from the beginning see God do something so incredible when we're all together.
Bro, for me, you're not average, bro. You're above average.
I'm not going to be one of those like super, oh, so humble. No, I'm horrible. I can acknowledge when I sing in tune or not, or when I'm singing well or not, but no, when it comes to that, when we first began, and we're doing this here soon, we're starting some, that's also one of our goals. We're going to expand to the youth or to the band. I mean, but when it comes to when the band came together, we started by announcing that we were going to teach. The church, our church, Nueva Vida, it was founded by our pastor and his some of his friends and band, which their band was called Nueva Vida. And so the church has always been very musical. I mean, it's always had such a strong musical background. My father, when we arrived to the church, he was also a musician, and he arrived. That's how he got to the church. He was going to be a guest, or the church was going to have a guest musician, and he was asked by that musician to come play. He's like, hey, I need some help. Can you come help me play? And that's how God brought my father to the Lord, like to him. He ushered him through song. And so when he arrived at the church, that's what he came doing. So that was, almost 30 years ago. And so this whole time before we decided to create or start teaching, the band was still pastor. It was still pastor and some of the old members. I was on there as a bass player because Noah, his son, had left or moved. And I was there as the bass player. And man, it was crazy. It was awesome. I mean, it was incredible in terms of the way the presence of God moved. And I always remember this. I try to go back to this when sometimes we get into a rut where, and this is a side note, but sometimes we get into a rut where we feel like, man, we've just overplayed songs and we've oh, I'm bored of this, or I'm tired of this. I think I remember a time, because we would get together and we wouldn't practice. We would just wing it on Sunday, and it was and it was incredible. And then I think there was a time where we didn't practice for, gosh, I think like 6 months. And in those 6 months, I'd say 90% of those 6 months, we had we played the same, oh gosh, maybe 10, 12 songs. And every single time, every single Sunday, it was fire. It was incredible. The presence of the Lord moved. The congregation was, very moved as well. And so it just went to show that it wasn't so much about the substance of what you were, providing, but it was, the eagerness of the congregation to simply praise the Lord. And so, but there was still that desire in us to bring this new worship. That was kind of the time when, around the time when like Hillsong became big, and those kind of churches and that kind of worship. And so we were also wanting to bring a new kind of worship. So we decided to start teaching. It was super overwhelming in terms of the amount of the response that we received. There was probably about 30 drummers that arrived. There was about 15 or something like that pianists. There was like probably about the same amount of guitarists. There was 20 something singers. There was and it was just an overwhelming response. And so we set rules.
That's a choir, bro.
What's that? That's
a choir, a whole choir.
We could add all of them, but it was a testament to to the band that is there now, because one of the biggest things was consistency in terms of those who remained as the band, and there were a couple that we chose as to be a part of the band. This was like an 8-month process. It was a long process of just narrowing down to the band. And at the end of it, it was really tough. We actually did like there was a few left in terms of musicians, and we actually had to choose like, hey, you're in and you're out. And so that was rough. But I think what I remember most about that time is the people that were there to make that decision, and including myself. And we were very strong in regards to why we were choosing who we were choosing. And we for sure picked character and the person over talent. And at the moment, you're a musician, and as a worship leader, and I say worship leader at the time, I was just playing and singing. The worship leader position just kind of became that over time. But at that time, you just want things to sound good. You're young, and you're like, man, you're hearing all these other bands and all these other churches, and they sound sick, and they got these crazy systems and these insane guitarists, and you're after that. And so sacrificing that for the person was really significant. And man, it's shown that it was the best decision that we could have made, because selecting talent, we would have no longer had those people long ago. And we still have talent. I'm not gonna say we don't, but we have talent. But we also have the character, the hearts, the people that make part of it, and that's what I'm most grateful for.
Amen. I know we're running out of time a little bit, but if you wanna, and this is the thing that we had at the end for you guys, and if you want to bless us with maybe singing a verse, or maybe a beginning of a song or ending of a song, it will be a blessing just to kind of worship a little bit. You don't have to play as the whole songs for Sunday.
Alrighty.
Praise God.
Amen. To do that, something short like that. Let's go over. There's a song that wrote a while back. It's called "Tu Voluntad," and I'll just sing the chorus. There's a lot more to it, but it goes. Soy tu voluntad y no la mía. Dame tu caminar, haz tu voz la mía. hazme la luz de tu mirada, tu melodía, y dame la dicha de estar en ti cada día. So that's Tu Voluntad. That'll also end up being on that album. So.
Wow, amen. All right, brothers and sisters, saints, thank you guys for tuning in to this episode with my brother here. Yeah, it was quick. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my friend, my brother here, Abdiel Lopez, man. Check him out. I'm gonna leave all his information. Follow this man of God, and hope to have you, and we'll stay in touch, bro.
Sounds good, brother.
And I appreciate you coming in.
Come over soon.
Amen. Just let me know. Sounds good.
All right, brother. Thank you guys again,
bro.
everyone.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know if you want to say anything else.
What's that?
I don't know if you want to say something else.
No, that's it. Just thank you. Thank you for creating this platform for this, or us as worshipers and musicians, and kind of creating this cool little community. And may God bless it. May it grow. May it become something cool. And may you have this super sick studio, and be interviewing. I don't me as an article.
No, glory to God, man. Amen. Thank you, brother. Amen. We'll stay in touch, and man. Appreciate everybody. Cool. Thank you, guys. See you guys in the next episode. Thank you.
Adios.
All right.
I don't know how to end it.
All right. I'm in there here. God bless everybody. This is for real. God bless everybody. Hope you guys have a great weekend. My brother here, Abdiel Lopez.